actually learn people management? People management isn't something that you're just born with. It's actually a skill that you can learn. And I know this because I've spent 15 years in tech, rising to a VP of engineering role where I manage teams of different sizes. I've also won multiple recognitions along the way and a prestigious Prominent Women in Tech award. So if you're looking for practical advice on how to improve your people management skills, I'm going to break down some actionable steps you can take to learn and grow in your leadership journey, whether you're just starting as a manager or looking to level up your leadership skills. First, let's talk about a common misconception. This idea that great leaders are born that way. That's just not true. Research shows that 90% of leadership skills are actually learned. You're not born with them. Some of the best leaders I know didn't start off as natural leaders. They evolved over time through reflection, feedback, through continuous learning. And for me, I didn't start out with all the leadership skills I have now. In the beginning, I had a few natural strengths, things like creating a vision, motivating others to rally behind it. But there were so many leadership skills that didn't come naturally to me at first, like delegation, communication, conflict resolution, and I had to work hard to improve these areas along with other ones. It's not about flipping a switch and suddenly you become a great leader. It's really about being committed to the journey of learning, of self-awareness, and of continuous improvement. I also want to point out that as you grow in your career, the depth of your leadership skills evolves as well. Managing 5 people is so different from managing 50 or 500. The way you communicate, motivate, and influence changes as your responsibilities grow. For example, as a mid-level manager, impact and vision might mean ensuring your team meets their goals efficiently. But as a senior leader or a CEO, that same vision needs to be broader. You're now responsible for the company's long-term success, for the culture, for the strategy. So each level requires a new set of skills, and with every promotion, the scope of your leadership needs to expand as well. The key here is recognizing that leadership development never stops. You'll always be growing, adapting, and learning new ways to lead and inspire. Now, I'd like to highlight a list of foundational leadership qualities that you'll need to develop and grow to become an effective manager. This list has the top 15 skills that I picked for you that can take your leadership from good to great. I'm not going to dive deep into each skill right now, but instead I'm going to talk about them and then give you a framework that you can use to leverage this list and approach your continuous learning and growth as a leader. So here's the list. The first one is emotional intelligence, or EQ, and that's all about understanding and managing your emotions and those of your team. But why is it important? It's important because it helps you build stronger relationships, it helps you motivate others, and also helps you manage conflict with empathy. Second one is communication. Being a good communicator is more than just talking. It's about listening, understanding, it's about ensuring that your message is clear, and really effective communication, I would say, is the backbone of leadership. Third one is decision making. As a leader, you'll be faced with making decisions, and sometimes difficult ones. Your ability to make these sound and timely decisions will directly impact your team and your organization. Fourth one is delegation. You can't do everything yourself. And delegation is about trusting your team to take ownership of tasks and knowing how to assign responsibilities in a way that plays to your team's strength. Fifth one, adaptability. Change is constant, especially in industries like tech. Leaders must be adaptable, must be able to pivot and lead their teams through constant transitions without losing focus or momentum. Sixth is conflict resolution. Conflict is just unavoidable when you're working with people. And your ability to mediate and resolve conflict fairly and effectively will help maintain harmony and productivity within your team. 7 is accountability. Leaders take responsibility both for successes and failures. So holding yourself and your team accountable creates trust and ensures that everyone strives for high performance. 8 is empathy. Understanding your team's emotions, their concerns, their motivations, all of that allows you to lead with compassion. And empathy builds loyalty and strengthens your team's culture, which is great. 9 is time management. As a leader, time management isn't just about managing your own time, it's also about helping your team prioritize their work so they can meet deadlines and organizational goals. 10, vision and strategic thinking. Leaders need to see the big picture and think long-term. You must be able to set a vision for your team and strategize how to achieve it while keeping everyone aligned with the larger goals. Number 11, problem solving. Problems arise daily in leadership, and your ability to approach issues creatively and come up with effective solutions will keep your team moving forward and help you avoid just setbacks in general. 12, coaching and mentoring. A good leader doesn't just manage, they also empower, they coach, they develop their team through mentorship, through feedback, through guidance, and that's all crucial for fostering growth and building stronger teams. 13, influence and persuasion. Leadership is not about authority, it's about influence. Your ability to persuade and inspire people to follow your direction will help you lead more effectively. 14, building trust. Trust is the foundation of any strong team, but building trust takes time and consistency, and it requires you to be transparent, reliable, supportive, but all of that will foster trust within your team. 15, taking initiatives. Leaders take actions without waiting for someone to tell them what to do. Initiative shows that you're proactive and that you're committed to driving progress within your team and your organization. Now, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by this list. You don't need to master everything on it all at once. The key to leadership is progress, not perfection. What I'd like you to do instead is to be intentional with your growth, where small, consistent improvements will lead to big results in the long run. Now, to help you take these small, intentional steps, I want to introduce a simple framework that you can follow. This framework will guide you through identifying your strengths, addressing your weaknesses, and continuously improving as a leader. So let's break it down so you can start applying it right away and see real progress. First, I want you to start by acknowledging your strength. Why? Because knowing what you're already good at gives you a solid foundation to build upon. Growing as a leader isn't just about fixing your weaknesses, it's also about leveraging your strength. When you recognize the areas where you naturally excel, you can lean into them and use them to make an even bigger impact. So now take a moment to look at the list of the leadership skills that I went over and pick 2 skills that you feel confident in. Maybe you've always been great at communication or decision making. Reflect on the times you've actually successfully used these strengths to lead your team or to solve a problem, and ask yourself questions like, what's working well here? How have I applied these skills to create positive outcomes? How can I lean more into these strengths at work? And once you've identified these strengths, it's important to validate them. So check in with your team, with your peers, or with your manager and ask, do you see me as strong in these areas? Getting external confirmation not only reinforces your self-awareness, but also helps you see how others perceive your leadership. Now, if they agree, celebrate yourself. Recognize your strength is just as critical as improving your weaknesses. It builds confidence and gives you a platform to keep growing. For me, I really leaned on 2 strengths at the beginning of my leadership journey, which are strategic thinking and influencing. I was able to see the big picture and think strategically and get people on board, and these strengths gave me a solid foundation as I grew into more complex leadership roles. Now flip it. Pick 2 skills from the list that you know are hindering your growth, or ones that your manager has pointed out in feedback conversations. These are the areas where you're going to focus on for the next 30 to 60 days. And remember, you don't have to fix everything at once, just start with 2 skills that you want to improve. For me, delegation and conflict resolution weren't my strong suits when I started my leadership journey, and I had to be self-aware and honest with myself about working on these areas to become a better leader. But once I started working on these skills, it wasn't just my team that benefited, but I personally felt a huge difference. Delegation helped me find balance and made my team more empowered, while resolving conflicts effectively became a game changer for me and my leadership style. It really allowed me to approach conflict objectively and foster better relationships within my team. Now, once you've identified the 2 skills you want to improve, you can take a structured approach to growing these skills. And here's a step-by-step framework to help you grow and make meaningful progress when it comes to these skills. 1. The first one, self-awareness and self-assessment. Before anything else, take time to reflect on why these 2 areas are your weaknesses. Ask yourself, how is this affecting my leadership? How is it impacting my team? The key here is to be extremely honest about the challenges that you face with these skills. This is really the foundation of growth. It's knowing exactly where the problem lies. So your action step here is to write down specific situations where these weaknesses have surfaced. How did they affect the outcome? And how did you feel about your performance? Second one, seek guidance. Now that you've pinpointed the problem, I recommend that you use outside help to guide you through improvements. You can find a mentor or a coach who has experience in these areas and can give you actionable advice. So your action step here is to reach out to a mentor that you respect and trust in your company or from your network, or you can find a coach who can offer guidance. Third, gather feedback. The next step is to get real-world input. Feedback from your team, from your peers, from your manager, all of that will give you a 360-degree view of how your leadership impacts others. This insight will help you understand if your self-assessment that you made in step 1 matches how others see you. Your action step here is to set up regular feedback loops with your team, or you can use a tool to gather anonymous feedback, but be clear that you're seeking constructive input on the specific skills that you're working on. 4. Learn and research. Start filling in the knowledge gaps. Dive into relevant books, courses, or leadership programs that focus on the skills that you need to develop. This step is all about gaining a deeper understanding and learning from experts. So your action step here is to find specific leadership courses that you can enroll in and look for books that can provide great insights into the leadership skills that you're working on. 5. Observe and learn from other leaders. This is one of my favorites. Find leaders that you admire, either within your company or industry, and observe how they navigate the skills that you're working on. What makes them effective? How do they handle situations where you've struggled? So your action step here is to be intentional about this. Watch how these leaders manage teams, communicate, resolve conflicts, how they run meetings, and take notes on specific actions or strategies that they do that you want to emulate. 6. Set tangible goals and measure growth. So now that you've gathered input and learned new techniques, set specific measurable goals. What does growth in these areas look like for you? So here are some examples to explain what I mean. If you're working on improving communication, set a goal to maybe clarify meeting agendas before every team meeting for this month. If you're working on accountability, commit to setting deadlines and publicly sharing them with your team. If you're working on getting better at delegation, make a plan to delegate one key task each week. For time management, maybe block out some focused work time in your calendar every day. Conflict resolution, maybe aim to have one difficult discussion this month. Your action step here is to set specific tangible goals that will help you measure growth. 7th and last one is review, get feedback, and adjust. Leadership growth is a continuous process. So after you spend some time working on your goals, review your progress and then get feedback again from your team and mentors. Measure improvements and change anything if you feel adjustments need to be made. Your action step here is to create a review cycle to assess progress. Ask your manager and your team how they've seen you improve. Celebrate your wins, adjust your goals if needed, and then repeat. By following this framework, you're ensuring that you're working on your weaknesses 2 at a time so you're not overwhelmed, and that you're also growing in a structured and meaningful way. Leadership is not a destination. It's really a lifelong journey of learning, refining, and growing. And whether you're managing a team of 2 or leading an entire organization, the principles remain the same. The key is to be intentional about your growth, to be open to feedback, set clear goals, and continuously push yourself to get better. Remember, you're not just managing tasks, you're actually leading people, and that's where the real impact happens. Thank you for watching. If this helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone else who's on their leadership journey, and see you in the next video.